I'm on a mission to successfully follow my meal plan this month. I'm inviting you to follow me for approximately 2 weeks of real life meal planning. Let's see how this goes. This is a follow-up video to a meal planning video that I posted recently. If you haven't seen that video yet, I highly recommend it so that you can get a good understanding of what my meal planning system looks like, and I'll link that video down below for you. First, I generated my shopping list of what I would need during the first 2 weeks. I went into detail on how I generate this in the last video. My next step was to plan out the shopping trips for the month. My husband and I try to minimize the number of times we need to go shopping as much as possible. For us, that means 2 trips to Target, Sprouts, and Costco per month. We also try to group the Target and Sprouts trips together to save time because they are located at the same shopping center. I bring the shopping list with me to the store on a clipboard so it doesn't get bent or torn. Then I check off the items on the shopping list as I go, and when the item is not in stock, there are several things we do. One way is to modify our meal plan until the next shopping trip. For example, this time asparagus was too expensive to buy because it wasn't on sale, so I decided I would switch out the asparagus days with spinach salad days. Sometimes we find a suitable ingredient substitute. For chicken korma, the recipe calls for yogurt, but we use coconut milk instead. If there is no suitable substitute, then we purchase ingredients for backup meals that I have listed on my quick meals insert. For example, we can buy extra ground beef so we can make an easy recipe like spaghetti and meatballs. We're back from the store and we've purchased all the items that we need for the first 2 weeks of meal planning up until the 12th when we'll go back to the store. So first we have cauliflower, which is going to be used for aloo gobi. Then fresh parsley is for the chicken paprikash. We have green onions for teriyaki flank steak. We didn't get the asparagus because it wasn't on sale, so I decided that I'm going to change the plan. Instead of having grilled asparagus, we're going to have salad those days. What is great about this system is that you can easily take these tabs off and switch it out. Cilantro is for the chicken korma. We also got some cashews for chicken korma. We got 3 green bell peppers, which are going to be used for the fajitas. We have 3 onions, which will be used in the fajitas, the chicken korma, and the chicken paprikash. We have some turmeric, which we bought in bulk to save money. And we're going to use this in the chicken korma. And then we noticed when we were at the store that the avocados were on sale and the bacon was on sale. We use bacon for breakfast, and we're going to use the avocados for Super Bowl Sunday to make guacamole. So what we do is we buy the bacon in bulk and then we freeze down the rest. And we have a extra freezer in our garage to store this. The everlasting one. No matter if your heart is cold, I got plenty of time and heat for you. As you saw in my previous video, we are making extras of some of the meals so we can have freezer meals to use as backups for days we can't cook. One way to freeze soup or stew is to portion it into a muffin pan, freeze that overnight, and then the next day put the pan in some warm water so that the edges melt a little bit, so you can just scoop it out and portion it into plastic bags. Coming to the end of a one-way street. Wish I could wake up, but it's not a dream. Staring at the wall right in front of me. Need to get away, I can stay right here. Every day I'm wishing that you were near. I cannot pretend that I do not care. First we have cauliflower rice, which was not at Costco, so this is from Target. the broccoli, which is going to be used for the broccoli stir fry. We have shrimp for the Cajun shrimp recipe. And then I added pork shoulder onto this list because we ran out of it and it's one of our stock ingredients. We want to make sure that everything on the stock ingredients insert is always in our freezer, our pantry, our fridge. And then beef chuck is going to be used for some of the recipes we ran out of it. So I'm going to show you how we freeze this down, because we try to freeze it down right when we get home and we have to portion it out. At the first opportunity we get, we freeze our meat into 1 pound portions, label the bags, and place them in the freezer, which is in our garage. Everything was going relatively smoothly until the teriyaki flank steak and broccoli stir fry night. I started pulling the ingredients out of the fridge. Andrew, do you know where the green onions went?
I use it for the salsa.
Oh, let me explain. My husband loves to make fresh salsa. When we had gone to Sprouts, I had purchased extra green onions for this, but I had not realized he was going to make it twice before the next shopping trip. So here I was with the steak marinated and ready to go, but missing what I felt was an important ingredient, and it started to look like dinner was not going to happen. Then Andrew pointed out,
We have onions.
So we ended up using yellow onions instead. And you know what? It actually tasted better that way. But now I'm going to be leaving a note on ingredients that I need to use for recipes so this doesn't happen again. On this night, I ended up getting home too late for us to start making dinner, so we ended up using some of our freezer meals from the freezer meal inventory. In this case, the chicken paprikash that we had made previously. We just heated up some of the chicken paprikash portions in a pot and dinner was ready within a few minutes. But because of that, I had to kind of modify what my plan was. So first of all, I moved the chicken korma back a day. And instead of having leftovers the following day, we use the extras for lunches. This day we did have freezer meals. And then because we had 2 servings, I can check this off in my inventory. And then we went out to dinner with my friend Sara. So we weren't able to have the fajitas that night like I had originally planned. So what I decided to do was kind of shift these meals over. First of all, the Cajun shrimp, I decided to not have leftovers with that for that meal, just because in my experience, shrimp doesn't do well when you reheat it. It gets kind of tough and chewy. So I figured I'd just make just enough for one night for the Cajun shrimp. So that got shifted over by one day. And then we need an eat out tab to go here because we ate out at a restaurant with my friend that day. Now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we're going to have all of the perishable items that we need and all of the frozen items that we need in order to prepare the remaining meals for the month. I'm going to start off by updating my meats on hand and perishables on hand section by writing down the amounts I currently have in my freezer, my fridge, and my pantry. I'm going to go through and generate an amounts needed list, working my way one by one through the recipes. So under ground beef, I'm writing 1.5 pounds I needed for the Butter Bob's chili during week 3. I am doing batch cooking that day, so I will also need 2 pounds of ground beef for the French onion meatball soup. The vegetables for that day are Brussels sprouts, so I'll need to add that to the grocery list. On the 25th, I have a tab that says New Recipe, which prompts me to look at my sidebar where I have the page number and cookbook written down for chicken shawarma. The reason why I don't have this recipe written down in this notebook or have a recipe tab dedicated to it yet is because I want to try it out first before I go through the trouble of writing all of that out. But looking at the ingredients, I realized that I'll need a pound of chicken thighs and I have everything else on hand. So I'm going to add chicken thighs to the Costco list. So that should cover the rest of the month as far as meals go. Then finally we get to day 12 and we're making the Valentine's Day cookies. We spent all this time on them and Andrew takes one bite and says,
These taste like soap.
lesson learned, always test recipes beforehand. What I've learned so far is that flexibility is key with meal planning. Sometimes we have to substitute ingredients. Sometimes we have to have freezer meals on nights that we originally planned to cook. And sometimes when you're me, your Valentine's Day cookies end up tasting like soap. But that is the point of this system, to be flexible for those messy, real-life situations. See you next Saturday.
Bye.
Bye.
Make me a promise, tell me you love me, and that you'll never